Okay everyone, in this video I just want to show you a few of the new features in Sentinote 1.1.4. I'm going to cover some old ground here too. So what I've got in front of me is an empty WordPress installation that I'm just using for testing and development. And I'm quickly going to switch to Evernote. And in Evernote, these are a few notes that I'm going to create for this blog, for this testing blog. The first note is literally, the title is first note. It's a simple note with nothing much in it. The second note I've got here is a note that's been formatted using the Evernote formatting tools. So if I go into the note here, the formatting tools I see in the top bar over here. And the third note that I've created here, I've created just with Markdown. So I'm using double asterisks here to indicate bold, hashes here to indicate headings, just a list here with asterisks. And this one is important to note that when you turn Markdown on, it means you're also turning on HTML, which means you can use HTML in your notes. So for example, here I used the strong tags to make a word bold, but you can use iframes, for example, to embed videos or other things into your notes. Over here I'm going to show you a new feature in Sentinote that will allow you to hide notes. So they will be published, but they will be hidden. It may not make sense why you want to do that straight away, but I'll show you in a little bit. And over here I'm going to introduce one of my favorite new features, and that is to show the content from another note inside another note. So I'm going to publish the first three notes and just get them displayed on the blog. So I'm going to go to the first note up in the top here. I'm going to add the tag published. And I'll do the same thing for the second note. And for the third note. And I will just quickly synchronize it with Evernote. Now I can wait the interval that I've specified in the Sentinote settings and wait until Sentinote goes and collects those notes from Evernote, or I can come into my Sentinote settings here and do a manual sync right now. Before I do that, notice under the Markdown settings, as of version 1.1.4, there is now a new option here that says strip non-essential HTML before applying Markdown. So I've created this here because I found personally that as I'm working with notes and creating notes, Evernote does its best to try and apply some styles for me, styles that I don't always want. So here I just go make a decision that I'm going to strip all of that out. A lot of the HTML tags that I want to use will still work. For example, iframes, embedding, quotes, etc. So if I now click on manual sync, this will bring across those three notes that I've published earlier. So I'll just click on manual sync now. And once it's synced, I'll get this successfully synced message appear at the top here. If I go back to the blog, I will refresh it. And I will get my three notes appearing here. So third note that was created using Markdown. So here you can see the hashes converted into headings, the asterisks is converted into lists, and some of the other things that I've done in the note. Over here in my second note, I just used the Evernote tools. So the Evernote tools by default doesn't have things like headings, so I couldn't quite create the same effect as I did in the third note. But a lot of these things are still quite handy to use. For example, it makes it really easy to create lists. And if you've got Markdown turned on, you can actually chop and change. So you can still create things like lists using the Evernote tools and apply Markdown in the rest of your note. So the first note is here with not a lot going on inside it. But now I want to start showing you some of the magic in Sentinote 1.1.4. So I'm going to go back to Evernote. And in here, Evernote allows you to quickly create a table of contents. So for example, if I select three notes, or these three notes, there's an option here that says create table of contents note. So if I click on that, I've got table of contents. I've got the notes here created using note links. Now I can move them around a bit if I want. For example, if I don't want first note over here, I can chop and change a bit. But for now, I'll just simply leave this as is, and I'm going to publish this note. Again, I'll synchronize this with Evernote. And because I don't want to wait, I'll do a manual sync inside the Sentinote settings. And now if I go back to the blog and refresh it, you'll see I've got a new post here that says table of contents. Inside this post there's some links, third note, second note, first note. If I click on any of these links, it actually takes me to that note. So this is new in Sentinote 1.1.4, where it now supports note links created inside Evernote. As a demonstration of how this works, I'm just going to create a note link manually. So I'll just come back here to Evernote. I'm going to just add a few lines here, and I might create another link to the first note. So I'm going to go to the first note here, make sure it's selected. Then I'm going to right click on copy note link. Then in the note that I want to link it from, I'm going to go to the place where I want to insert that link, and I'm going to paste. Here's my link to first note. So it's using the note link feature from Evernote. So just to show you that it works, I'll synchronize. And again over here, I'll just do a manual sync. And if I go back to my blog, inside my table of contents, there's that first note link that I've just created, and if I click on it, it should take me to my first note. There we go, I'm in the first note. Now I've decided to take this a little bit further. I actually want to use note links, but not just include the link to the notes, but I actually want to pull the content from the notes inside other notes. So to show you how this works, I'm going to go back to Evernote. I've created a note here that says showing the contents of another note. Now this bit is very important. Before you can use note links or pull in the content from another note, those notes first have to be published inside WordPress. So I suggest the notes that you want to link to, make sure that you've published them, you've synchronized Evernote, you've synchronized Sentinote, and then you can start using the note links. You may be lucky that it actually adds the notes that you want to link to before the note that you're linking from, but I wouldn't take that chance. I'd rather sync first and then start to create the links. So here I'm going to show you how to pull in the content, and we'll pull in the content from the first note. And I've created a new tag called Note Content, or I should say a new shortcode. And then I'm going to grab that note link. So I'm going to go back to first note, right click, copy the note link, and I'll paste the note link in here. And then I have to create the closing shortcode. So square bracket / note dash content and closing square bracket. And now I've created that link, but more than just link, it's going to pull in the content. So I'm going to publish this page by tagging it with published, and I'll sync. And I'll do another manual sync here in Sentinote. Back to the blog, I'm going to refresh. And the only reason this note is showing up before the table of contents note is because I've actually created this note before I've created the table of contents note. So, but as you can see here, it's pulling in the content from the first note. So it's saying this is just a simple note with not much going on. If I go back to the first note, I'll see here, this is just a simple note with not much going on. So as I've said, I've also created the ability to hide notes or hide posts. And the reason is sometimes you don't want whole posts to show up, and you might want to repeatedly embed that content inside other notes. So in this case, we're going to create it as a post, or you can even create it as a page, and we're going to hide it. So to hide a note, you're going to create your hidden note. And like I'm saying in this note is hidden in WordPress, but thanks to the new Note Links integration, I can still display this content in another note. and then I've got a little bit of markdown formatting here saying even with the formatting. So I'm going to publish this note, and then another tag that I've created is one called draft. So even though it's published, it's appearing as a draft inside WordPress. So this means that it will add this note as a post, or if I've specified page, it will add as a page, but it won't actually display it. And thanks to note linking, I can still pull the content from this note. So I just have to quickly publish this. So I'll synchronize it. I'll do another manual sync inside Sentinote. I'm going to refresh the blog. And as you can see, there's a table of contents showing contents of another note, third note, second note, first note, but that hidden note is not in here. But I'm going to pull out the content from that hidden note now. So I'm going to go back to Evernote. I'm on the hiding a note note, so I've got it selected. I'm going to right click on it, click on copy note link, and inside showing the contents of another note, I'm going to show the contents of that unpublished or hidden post. So I'm going to go to note, type in note content again, paste the note link, close the note content shortcode, and publish my note. Back in Sentinote, like before, I'll just do a manual sync. And now you're going to start seeing the magic happen. So I'm going to go to the blog. I'm going to refresh. There you go, displaying the content of hiding a note. This note is hidden in WordPress, but thanks to the new Note Links integration, I can still display this content in another note, even with the formatting. So you can see it's even pulled in that formatting that I've created in Note. Again, you may be asking, why do you want to do this? So I'm going to quickly go to table of contents, and I'm going to paste that exact same line of text inside the table of contents. So here's that line I've created. I'm going to copy it. Inside my table of contents, I'm going to paste it in here. And back to Sentinote, I'm just going to do a manual sync. And if I refresh now, you will see that content being pulled in into the table of contents, as well as being pulled in into showing the contents of another note. So again, why would you want to do this? Well, the table of contents is actually a good example. If I had a table of contents with, say, links to 5 different posts, and I want those links to appear in each of those 5 posts, rather than copying and pasting the table of contents content into each of those notes, I can just create a table of contents once and then just embed the content inside each of those notes. Now, it seems silly for an example where you only have 5 posts. However, think things like author bios or series titles. You can get really creative with the kind of things you can do if you want to import the contents of hidden notes. So it could be things like templates that you just want to keep reusing in some of your posts. And that really concludes some of the new features that I want to show you. I hope you like these features. I really like them, and I've actually secretly been using them for a while I've been developing it. And I will put up a case study very soon of a website where I'm using this. Thank you very much for watching.